Marcus watched from their 15-floor apartment window as Philadelphia burned. The street below was a river of shambling corpses, their moans carrying up even through the double-paned glass. Beside him, Tiana wrapped a clean bandage around her forearm, covering the deep gash she'd gotten while barricading the stairwell. "How many rounds you got left?" she asked, securing the bandage with practiced efficiency, her ER nurse training still showing, even after everything that had happened. 17 in the Glock plus 2 magazines, Marcus replied, not taking his eyes off the chaos below. A city bus had crashed into the Wawa on the corner, and he could see bodies being torn apart through its shattered windows, the wet sounds of feeding mixed with distant screams and police sirens. 3 days. That's all it had taken for society to collapse after the first cases showed up at Jefferson Hospital. Tiana had called him in a panic during her shift, describing patients with impossibly high fevers who died on the table only to get up minutes later, attacking anyone within reach. The CDC's quarantine had failed within hours. A bang from the hallway made them both jump. "They're testing the doors again," Tiana whispered, grabbing her baseball bat, now covered in dark stains and matted hair from their earlier escape through the lobby. The thing that used to be Mrs. Chen from 1502 had nearly gotten them then. Marcus still felt sick, remembering how her head had split open under Tiana's swing, spraying black fluid across the marble floor. The elderly woman had helped them carry groceries just last week. "We need to move," Marcus said, finally turning from the window. "The fire 3 blocks over is spreading, and I don't like our chances if—" A scream from the apartment next door cut him off. Their neighbor, Kyle's voice, followed by the unmistakable sound of breaking glass and wet, tearing flesh. "Shit," Tiana hissed, moving to their makeshift barricade at the front door. "The fire escape. We talked about this." Marcus nodded, grabbing their pre-packed bags. They'd planned for this after watching the apartments across the street get overrun one by one. But knowing what came next didn't make it easier. The pounding on their door started as they climbed out onto the fire escape. Metal rattled underneath them. Others had the same idea. Looking down, Marcus saw infected climbing up from lower floors, their broken limbs dragging uselessly behind them as they pulled themselves higher with unnatural strength. "Up!" Tiana commanded, already moving. The roof access door locks from the inside. They were 2 floors up when their apartment door finally gave way. Kyle's infected body lurched onto the fire escape, followed by what remained of his girlfriend, Jessica. Half her face was missing, revealing teeth that snapped at the air. Marcus raised his Glock, but Tiana grabbed his arm. "Save them," she said. "We're going to need every bullet." The dead were faster on the stairs than they should have been, driven by a hunger that defied physics. Marcus and Tiana reached the roof access with seconds to spare, slamming the heavy door just as rotting hands grabbed for them. Tiana wedged her bat through the door handle as Marcus surveyed the rooftop. The adjacent building was close, maybe 15 feet across the alley. Below, hundreds of infected filled the streets like ants, drawn by the chaos and fire. "Remember that parkour shit you used to do?" Tiana asked, a grim smile on her face as she backed away from the door. It was already beginning to bend under the assault. Marcus looked at the gap again, then at the love of his life. "You know that was 10 years and 30 pounds ago, right?" "Well, baby," she said, taking his hand, "you better channel your inner teenager, because we're either jumping or becoming an all-you-can-eat buffet." The door hinges screamed behind them. Through the growing gap, They could see a mass of grasping hands and snapping jaws. Marcus squeezed Tiana's hand. On three? She kissed him hard, quick. On three. And Marcus, if we don't make it, save it for the other side, he said, turning to face their escape route. 1. The door exploded off its frame. 2. Infected poured onto the roof. 3. They ran. They jumped. They screamed. And behind them, their world continued to burn.